I think the Zohar in Judaism is the light on Moses' face and those things. Zohar means splendor, light, from having been in the presence of God. It's my own view of that. That's, I think, what they're up to. I entered unannounced, another thing here. I entered unannounced into Halaj's room one day, says Ibn Fatik, the narrator. Someone who had been in before me, Halaj, was praying, and his brow was pressed to the ground in prayer, and he was reciting the following: O thou whose closeness girds my very skin, whose mystery spurns me far away, all lie all things in time from the eternal. Thou shinest so before me that I think thou art all things, and that thou dost deny thyself in me, etc., etc., etc. Thou art nothing here, as this can neither be thy distance, for that would fortify my selfhood, nor thy closeness, for that would help me, neither thy war, for that would destroy me, nor thy peace, for that would comfort me. All these very things that are said to sort of, I forget the word, mystify you. Then noticing my presence, he said, "Oh, come in, you don't disturb me, come on in." So I went further and sat down in front of him. His eyes glowed like burning coals. They were bloodshot. "My dear son," he said, "I hear people are going about saying I am a saint, and others go about saying I am an unbeliever and pious. I prefer those who call me pious. Everything is to shock, you see. And so does God." "Well, why, Master? These people don't like you. They're calling you." Here's why. If a man goes on a pilgrimage and cannot, wait a second, I skipped a page here. They call me a saint because they respect me. But the others call me impious out of zeal for their religion. A man who is zealous for his religion is dearer to me and dearer to God, too, than a man who venerates another person. What would you say, Ibrahim Fatik, on the day when you see me hanging on the scaffold, and killed and burned? Yet that will be the happiest day of my life. So he foresees, like Jesus in scriptures, why the French particularly like Al-Halaj has been translated into French. Whole biographies have been written about him by Christian mystics in France. "Well, don't stay here," he said, "President. Go in the grace of God." And then he speaks about love. "When the giving of love is entire, and love cries to his bygone, and the stress of his crying, then a man verifies what a passion testifies, blah, blah, blah." More of his poetry about love. So love was already being used before Ibn Hazm as expression of something to do with the union with God. Another episode. Halaj went one day into the mosque of al-Mansur and cried, "Gather round, listen what I have to say." I'm sure these are true testimonies. Now, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I think these are truer testimonies of what we'll get in the Gospels, for instance, of what actually happened. You want an eyewitness account? To my mind, this really is an eyewitness account. I don't think those accounts in the Gospels are as fresh and as impressive in terms of being actual events as this is. Those have the sort of look of being rewritten later through theology all of it. So, but this is really a testimony of a saint. Halaj went one day in al-Mansur and cried, "Gather round!" I can just see him doing it. "Well, listen what I have to tell." A crowd assembled, lovers, followers, haters, critics. "You should know this," said Allah. "God has made me your outlaw, kill me." Just picture him saying that in a crowd of Muslims. "God has made me your outlaw, kill me." Anything to shock, you see. Now, that's why, personally, I'll give my own view here. I find Halaj extremely entertaining, and I don't think anyone should want to kill him. Because, I mean, it's just ridiculous to want to kill someone like this. He's not hurting anybody particularly. He's challenging and different, interesting, curious. And if one doesn't want to take him seriously, one should have a sense of humor and just have a laugh. If I saw someone out on the campus here saying that, I would just have a good chuckle. I wouldn't want to behead him and burn him up and throw his body into the Tigris River. That's the real problem with orthodoxy and people who are not ordinary people. So, people in the crowd began to weep, but Abdul Wadud, the Sufi, pressed near to him and said, "Sheikh," Sheikh, the leader of the Sufis, was often called Sheikh, "how can we kill a man who prays and fasts and recites the word?" Sheikh said, "Halaj, the motive that really stops you from shedding my blood has nothing to do with prayer, fasting, reciting the word. So why not kill me? You will get your reward, and I'll come to my peace. For you it will be jihad, holy war. For me it will be martyrdom. When Lodge left the mosque, says Abdul Wadud, I followed him home and questioned him, Sheikh, what you said troubles me. What did you mean? Dear son, he said, no task is more urgent for the Muslims at this moment than my execution. Realize this, that my death will preserve the sanctions of the law, and he who was offended must undergo them. His preaching went on, and he concluded in a violent attack with the words, and so on and so forth. In any case, the year 301, that was 297. He left Baghdad with disciples, but in 301 he was arrested in Persia, Susa, sent to Baghdad. Evidence was collected in Ahwaz in Baghdad. It's like Saddam's trial now, that he was, and he claimed to be God. He was accused of asserting the deity took up its abode. He had seen another Aulid sympathizer, like Johnny's. That the deity, the Imam idea, the incarnation, took up its abode in members of the Aulid house. So he's another sort of Shiite, if you like. For the time being, he was committed to imprisonment in the royal palace. But he was still very euphoric and passionate. And he said, I've been exuberant, but now I have the result of my exuberance has now overtaken me. It was not until the year 306, I think it's mistaken what's here, there's no date here, that the affair came to a head. So he was in prison for 5 or 6 years. And all the time he'd been lodged in the palace and allowed to receive visitors, something like Socrates. They were told that his disciples were acting like apostles and declaring that Lodge was God. These persons were arrested and tortured, and under cross-examination they confessed, page 99 here. And they repeated these statements that he was a God, he had the power to raise from the dead, you see, like Jesus. But Halaj repeated what they said. God forbid, he said, that I should pretend to be divinity or to prophesy. I am merely a man who worships God, practices prayer, fasts, and does good works. That is all. But anyway, they found a letter that he'd supposedly written, and they used that as evidence against him. This has to do with the pilgrimage, that if a man can't go on the pilgrimage, top of 100, let him set himself in his house some square construction